Hi, welcome back to Walleye Workshop. One of the key pieces of electronics we've been using over the last few years has been the down imaging sonar. Once you get used to seeing that down imaging return on your graph, you don't want to be without it. So for the last 3 years I've been running the down imaging up on my bow. To do that, you have to run an external transducer for the down imaging. The down imaging unit does not work with the Universal 2 sonar. What I had done in the past, the first year I ran the cable over the top, and you kind of had to really keep your eye on it so you didn't twist it up when you weren't paying attention and rip the transducer cable in half. But what I'm going to show you here real quick, and it's a pretty simple operation, is how to run that cable up through the notch on the shaft of the unit and up through the head so you don't end up ripping the cable off. So it's pretty simple. Let's go through it. Carefully remove the top of the control head. It's just 4 screws. You remove that and you expose the 4 wires that run down through the shaft. Once you have those wires exposed, you need to carefully cut the shrink tubing off one of the wires. The other wires just there's a piece of sleeving over 2 of them, and just a quick disconnect for the universal sonar, and it's pretty simple. Once you get that done, then you can go ahead and remove the main body of the control head from the shaft. After you remove the main body of the control head from the shaft, you need to slide that collar off. And I'll remind you later, once you get that collar off, that's the first thing you have to put back on. If you get it all back together and that collar's not on, you got to do it all over again. And what we need to do next is disengage the motor and carefully slide the shaft out completely, and be careful not to get the wires snagged up and tear the wires off on their way out. The next step is obvious. You need to run your transducer cable up through the housing first, and once you get that pulled through and most of the slacks out of there, then you need to carefully guide your 4 wires and your transducer cable. Make sure that transducer cable's in the notch of the shaft, and then just kind of work its way back up in there, and be careful not to damage the wires. Okay, now that you've got the shaft pushed all the way back in, you got your motor locked back in place, you need to get that collar on first before you do anything else. So get the collar on there, and then you can go back and replace the main body of the control head back onto the shaft. Now the next thing you need to do is just to reconnect all 4 wires, which is fairly simple. The only thing you got to remember in advance is to pick up a piece of shrink tubing at the local hardware store so you can re-shrink over that push-on connector that's inside the head. What I do now is run a bead of silicone adhesive up the entire notch of the shaft, and I'll lay that transducer cable down the middle of the shaft and secure it with wire ties. Give that silicone adhesive a day to cure. Come back the next day, cut off all the wire ties, and then you can dress up the transducer cable up by the control head. I'll wrap a piece of tape around that and a wire tie. The tape will keep that collar from jamming into the transducer cable, and if that tape gets wore out, you just replace it. It's that simple. There is one final step here, and that's to drop your motor about 1 foot off of the boat, and then you can go and secure that bottom part of the transducer cable with some more silicone, a few more tie wraps. This will take another day to cure. It's not a big deal. You don't have to do it right away, but it's good to get it done if you can. Well, there you have it. It's not a very complicated operation. Degree of difficulty is probably a 4 out of 10. And once you have it all dressed up like this, there's no fear of ripping the cable off, getting it caught on the body of your trolling motor. It looks great, as you can see in the close-ups here. You'll be pleased when you're done with it. And it'll give you a trouble-free operation for the rest of the season. Well, that's it, man. Thanks for watching. See ya.